Tom, lovely to meet you. You're here to talk to us about your role as Crime Prevention Officer and what we can do to keep ourselves safe.
Hi, I'm Tom O'Dwyer. I'm a sergeant based in Thurles Garda Station, and I'm the Crime Prevention Officer for County Tipperary.
Okay, so what does a Crime Prevention Officer do and what are some of the services that you provide?
Yeah, well, first of all, I suppose all Gardaí encourage and promote crime prevention, but then within each Garda division there is a dedicated Crime Prevention Officer. So that person is trained to encourage, promote and advise both the business and the private people in relation to any security or crime prevention issues they have.
Okay, so do you cover the whole county then?
Yes, there is one dedicated and I'm the one for Tipperary, so I cover the whole of County Tipperary.
And then obviously there's a version in Kilkenny,
Carlow, Wexford, yeah,
Waterford, the whole country.
The whole country. So each Garda division has one sergeant who's dedicated full-time to crime prevention.
And what are some of the services that you provide then within that role?
Yeah, I suppose there's a range of services which each crime prevention officer provides to the community. First one is, I suppose, we deal very closely with all the financial institutions, the banks, building societies, the credit unions, the post offices. We go into those various institutions and we review their security with them. And then we give them advice in relation to the physical security of their buildings, their security in relation to how they manage their cash. And we also advise then their staff in relation to their own security, but at home.
And who else then will say would come to you for advice, will say, in the community?
Yes, we also, each crime prevention officer then, we're trained as architectural liaison officers. And this relates to the whole area of crime prevention through environmental design. It's a theory where when you're actually designing either a new town centre or a new housing estate, that certain measures can be taken into design which assist in actually designing the crime out of the area. We've found, I suppose, to our cost over the years that a lot of housing estates in the past have been built through very poor standards. And we feel that, we've learned that it's the design of the estate maybe, or the town centre, whatever, that's actually leading to, I suppose, an upsurge in crime in those areas. So we have been very successful in areas where we've gone in and we've made subtle changes to housing estates or town centres, and that has helped to greatly reduce the crime in those areas, and indeed the fear of crime.
It's a fantastic service, and I suppose it's the fact that you're learning from things over the years, how to make places better, safer, people feel safer in those areas as well.
Correct, exactly, and it's something that we people maybe aren't aware that we do, but it's something that we are doing more and more, and it's better really if we get in at the design stage where there is a new housing estate being built, so we can look at the designs at the planning stage and maybe iron out a few potential problems.
Which is brilliant. How can people contact you or other crime prevention officers in the country?
Yes, if you need to contact myself, I'm based in Thurles Garda Station, so I can be contacted directly in Thurles Garda Station at 0504 25 100. Now, you can also log on to the Garda website. It's www.garda.ie. And if you're not from Tipperary, you can log on to the website, go to the crime prevention section of the website, and you will see a link there for a list of all the crime prevention officers in the country and their contact details.
And would you have advice on that website as well for people if they were looking up things?
Yes, if anybody wants any other crime prevention advice, you can, as I said, go into the Garda website, go to the crime prevention section in the website, and there is a load of literature there. There's a load of crime prevention information sheets there which will advise you on all aspects of crime prevention, be it security of your house, your business, your farm, your personal security, your vehicle security. There's just a whole range of stuff there. So if you have time, you should certainly go onto the website, go in there and look at all the literature because there's great advice and tips there.
I suppose because we're looking at Positive Ageing Week as well, are there any hints and tips as well for the elderly, we say, on the website for their safety as well? Or?
Yes, there is. There's, as I said, there's a whole range of stuff there, and some of it is tailored completely to meet the needs of the elderly. So it's what I'll say is to people again to go on there and have a look at it. And if you have any queries and if you're not sure, then you can contact either myself here in Tipperary or any of the crime prevention officers, and we're always available to assist you further.
Okay. I was also just wondering, what are some of the current crime trends and what advice would you give in relation to these issues?
Yes, I suppose first of all, we're heading into the winter period now. The dark evenings are fast approaching, so people, and particularly elderly people and people that are vulnerable, they're starting to feel worried again about their home security, particularly in their homes. So the first advice I would give them is to download the Security Checklist Challenge from our website. There's approximately 50 security questions, all in relation to your personal security, your home security, security around your gardens, your sheds. So go through that and answer the questions there. It's either yes or no to the answers. Either you have or you don't have what's recommended. So at the end of that, that will give you loads of tips on how to improve your security. But then if you're worried or if you're not sure about, if you have questions in relation to home alarms or CCTV cameras or security of your doors or your windows or anything like that, you can contact either myself again, as I said, at Thurles Garda Station, or your local crime prevention officer.
Okay, so there's a fabulous service there where if somebody is worried about something and they don't know what they need to do for their home safety, they can give you a call and even talk it through with you.
Correct, yes, and that service is available all the time there, so people should never be afraid to feel that they're foolish asking a stupid question or that, they're taking up our time or whatever. We're there, not alone the crime prevention officer, but all the Gardaí in all the stations are there to assist the public, and particularly, vulnerable people out there in the communities. So don't ever be afraid, be it day or night, pick up the phone and give us a call.
I suppose some of the things that you and I were chatting just earlier on were just some of the things that are becoming more prevalent at the minute, like the bogus callers or fraud and that. Have you any advice as well for people just on how to protect themselves if they find themselves in a situation where maybe they've had a bogus call or...
Yes, I suppose there is a number of issues facing into the winter, and the bogus callers are one issue that I suppose crops up time and time again. And this is where somebody will call to the home, usually of an elderly person or a vulnerable person. They will offer a service. It'll be either they'll be looking to paint a shed or they'll be do a bit of power washing or whatever. But usually is what happens is they'll provide either little service or no service at all. They'll charge exorbitant fees. And in some cases, this may be a criminal offence. So our advice is if anybody ever calls your door, if it's unsolicited and they're offering a service, the first thing you should do is tell them that you never employ somebody that cold calls to their house. So then you should ask them for a brochure. Ask them, do they have a brochure? If they do, study the brochure well. Make sure it has a name. It should have an address. It should have a VAT registered number, and also preferably a landline number as well. So secondly then, ask them, for a quote for their services. If you think you need their service, ask them for a quote for their services and make sure it's a written quote. And also ask them for details of any other work that they've carried out successfully in the area. So we would also advise you then is what you should always do is look for 3 quotes from other reputable people who provide the same service. So then you can have a look at the quotes and see are they what they should be.
Yeah, and at least you are then connecting with people who are registered and things, so it's a good safety measure to do.
It's a good safety measure to do, exactly. If you are really vulnerable, we would advise you not to answer the door under any circumstances to somebody who cold calls to your door. You can talk to them, if you have a security chain in your door, use that and talk to them, but don't let them into your house. Make sure if you see somebody calling, make sure your front door is locked, your back door is locked. And you can also talk to them, through open your window and talk to them, but certainly don't let them into your house. Because how they work is, first of all, they'll either offer a service, they'll do a very poor job and charge you an exorbitant fee. Second thing they'll do is they'll agree to do a service for you. They will look for money in advance to go and buy some of the stuff they need. Then they'll make off with your money and they won't come back. The third thing they may do is sometimes they will actually do a service for you, charge you a high fee, and then they will send some of their gang back maybe a day or two later again, saying they're from the revenue commissioners and that you actually owe VAT on the money you've paid, and they will double tap you, for want of a better expression.
Okay, so the moral of the story is make sure it's somebody reputable.
Correct, and always make sure never leave them unattended in your house, or never let them into your house if you feel any way vulnerable.
Yeah, and so I suppose the word no is a good word. No, I don't want the service, or no, you can't come in, to remind people to...
Correct.
Yeah, to say no. Now, I know we talked a little bit earlier on about some of the services, and I probably jumped on to another question before we finished up that piece, but are there other services that you provide in your role?
Yes, I suppose one of the important services we provide is we also deal with victims of crime. So if you become the victim of crime and you are vulnerable as a result of it, and many people, particularly elderly people, if their house is broken into, or if their bag is robbed from them, or if their car is broken into, it can lead to them feeling very vulnerable. So our victim service office, which we have based in Templemore Garda Station, you'll get a call from them, and they will give you some information in relation to the services that may be available to you. Now, one of those services, again, is the crime prevention officer. So if your house, for instance, is broken into and you're feeling vulnerable, talk to the victim service office. They will put you in contact with myself, or else ring me direct in Thurles Garda Station, and I will give you advice over the phone, or if necessary then I can call out to your house. We'll sit down, have a chat, have a cup of tea, and I'll go through what I think you could and should do to maybe make your home more secure.
Okay, and put the person's mind at rest as well. Right. Yeah, that's really, really good.
We also deal, I suppose, with community groups, and we go to community groups, we go to their meetings, neighbourhood watch, community alert groups, and we make presentations to them. So, you know, if you are involved in your community alert group or your neighbourhood watch group, or, you know, various different groups, that service is available where I can go to the group on a given night and I can give a full presentation in relation to home security, your personal security, your security while out and about. So that's available there as well and should be utilised.
So Tom, I was saying to you earlier that I got a text recently on my phone, and it was to tell me that there was funds missing from my bank account or that. And what should I do when I get something like that?
Yes, unfortunately there is a lot of scams out there at the minute, and I suppose a lot of them again are perpetrated through, you know, towards vulnerable and elderly people. The first one I suppose I'll talk about is the money transfer scam. And this is where you will get a call or a text. It'll come from somebody purporting to be from your bank. They will put you under pressure. They'll use rush tactics. They will tell you that unfortunately your account has been compromised in some way. And what they'll be asking you to do is transfer money to another account until they've sorted out the problem with your account. So don't ever fall for this one. So what they're trying to do in this case is get you to transfer money to a false account, and then unfortunately your money is gone. The next one I suppose I talk about is the technical support scam. This is one I suppose where most of us are familiar with now at this stage, is where you will get a call from a person. They will say they're from Google or they're from, you know, their computer support. And in this case, is what they'll tell you is that there's a problem again with your security on your computer. They'll ask you to open up your computer and log into it, and then they'll lead you through a number of ways in which you can fix your computer. But what they're actually trying to do is actually get onto your computer, and then unfortunately what they'll do is they'll download it with malware, and this malware then allows them to access all your private details, your financial details, all your security details, and then they take those and they sell them on to some other scammers. So that one I suppose we're all well aware of. You'll also get the text message fraud as well. So in this case, what they'll do is they'll actually, you'll get a call or you'll get a text usually from the Bank of Ireland or the AIB, and you'll be asked to log on to a bogus website. You won't realise it's bogus. It'll have the same logo as the bank on it. It'll look very authentic. But when you log on there, then they'll ask for some of your private and your banking details and your password or your PIN again. So it's what they're trying to do is they're just trying to get your details from you, get your identity from you and your security from you. So again, I suppose the advice is your bank, your credit union, your building society, any government agency, be it revenue, post office, They will never text you or call you and look for your details, either your private details, your account details, or any sort of a password or PIN word. They will never look for those over the phone or by means of a text. So I suppose if you get those, the first thing to do is obviously don't open or, go into any other websites, hang up. If they put pressure on you, if you think they might be genuine, tell them you'll ring them back. And then when you hang up, go to and look for the actual bank phone number. Don't, take the number they've given you. Look for the number, make sure you verify it, and then you can ring back the bank and just verify that the person is legitimate, or in most cases they're not.
That's very sound advice, and to do that, to hang up and actually contact my bank, and then I'll know straight away, and it'll put my mind at ease and save something happening to my
and in some
money.
cases, it's what they'll do is they'll say they're genuine. They'll say, look, ring back this number, or they'll say, look, ring the Garda station, and they'll actually give you the number of the Garda station to verify it. But what happens is they haven't hung up on their end of the line, and when you ring back, you're actually back onto them again, thinking that you've actually rang the Garda station. So it's very important that you actually go to your phone book or you get the number somewhere, and that you actually know that the number you're ringing is in fact the Garda station or the bank or the building society or the credit union.
That's really good advice. Tom, just as we're wrapping up here, would you have any advice, we'll say, I suppose I'll call it, on winter home security?
Yes, I suppose, as we say, we're heading into the dark evenings now, so what you should do is have a look around your house first of all. Maybe outside, make sure your garden is tidied up, you've put your ladders and your stuff away into your sheds, because unfortunately the criminals, not alone is there valuable stuff in your shed to steal, there's also stuff in there that they can use to break into your house, be the ladders or, some of your tools. So, tidy up your garden, cut back your hedges. We advise people to keep their hedges down to about 3 foot, so as not to, provide, I suppose, shelter for the criminal if they got in. So cut your hedges down to about 3 foot, tidy up your garage, lock all your stuff away in your sheds, make sure you have good strong locks in your sheds. Then in your house itself, just check your doors and windows, make sure the locks now are all working. As I said, if you're not sure about, or if you're looking for advice on that, contact myself, and make sure your alarm is working. Some people have house alarms and they've stopped using them, or they've got broken and they haven't got them fixed. So now is a good time to, get your alarm, get the alarm company out, get them to, do a service on it, make sure it's working properly. If you're not sure of the workings of it, ask them and they'll show you exactly how to use it. The other advice I would give is for people not to keep large amount of cash in their house. When houses are broken into, it's usually cash and jewellery are taken. So our advice is only keep the minimum amount of cash in your house. And then with your jewellery, don't leave your jewellery just available for somebody to walk in and take your jewellery. We find normally the jewellery is left in the master bedroom, and the thief comes in and within seconds of it in your house, he's down to the master bedroom, he's all the good jewellery picked off and he's gone. So our best advice is to get a safe and lock your jewellery away in the safe. Again, if you need advice on safes, contact your crime prevention officer. There's different types of safes, certified for different, levels of, property you have. So lock it away in a safe. If not, split up your jewellery and hide it in a number of different places in your house. Don't leave it all together. And what I would advise also is photograph your jewellery if you haven't done so already, because you will need proof of what you have if you're broken into. It's good to show it to us, first of all, to the guards, because we can match it to jewellery that we've recovered around the country. Again, if you go onto the Garda website, there's a whole list of stolen property we've recovered around the country, bikes, all sorts of power tools and loads of jewellery. We have them in our possession. We can't get them back to the owners. And reason being is the people that had them stolen can't prove that they were theirs in the first place. So our advice is take a photograph, put your jewellery out on a table, photograph it all. And as well as having the details for us, you will also have the details of it for your insurance company if you need to take a claim.
That's so simple, so I don't have to take individual photos. You say it can just be a group photo of my jewellery.
Correct, put them all out, but the important thing is to have a photograph of them. First of all, it'll remind yourself, if you're lucky enough that you have a lot of jewellery, you might forget some of the stuff you have, but it is an issue when we go to a break-in and people are trying to itemise what they had. photograph is really the best evidence for us. So, you know, put it out, photograph it, and as I said, lock it away and put it in a safe place.
Tom, you mentioned a thing called property marking to me there earlier on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, this is another service that's available to the people in Tipperary at the moment, and it's something now coming into the winter months again. We'd advise people, you know, if they get the opportunity to take it up. So how this works is, last year Tipperary County Council, in conjunction with the Garda and a company called Property Marking Ireland, came together, and as a result of that, Tipperary County Council purchased a property marking machine for each of the municipal areas. So if you're in a community group, Neighbourhood Watch, Community Alert, or any type of community group, you can contact your local county council, and they will give you a loan of the property marking machine to your area for a week or 2 weeks. They will train 1 or 2 people in your community to use it. You can take it away and you can mark in as much property as you like in your community for the 2 weeks. So how it works is, and what we're asking people to do, is to use their area code to mark their property. Each year in Ireland there's a lot of property stolen, as you know, and we recover a lot of property, but unfortunately we can't get the property back to their owners because there's not a security marking on it. So if everybody took the trouble of actually marking their property, you know, the stuff I'll be talking about is the stuff in the sheds and the garages, the lawnmowers, the power tools, all the garden equipment, ladders, all that kind of stuff, quad bikes, you know, the normal bicycles, all that kind of stuff. So if you go to the trouble of getting the machine and actually engraving your area code onto it, then if you're unfortunate enough that your property is stolen, and we're lucky, you know, and we are at times, to actually find your property, we have no problem getting the property back to you. What's very frustrating for us at times is when we do recover property in the possession of somebody, unless we can actually get an owner for that property, we can't prove it's stolen, and then we can't bring the person before the courts.
Yeah, so in actual fact we will be helping each other in so many ways if we started to avail of this service to mark our property.
Correct. So look, keep an eye out for that. It is available there and it will be rolled out. I suppose COVID at the minute is, you know, maybe hindering us a little, but that is available there, and it's available to all community groups within the county.
One of the other things that we were chatting about earlier on, just before we were doing the recording here, was you were mentioning a device that's available from a safety.
Yes, it's called a Seniors Alert Scheme, and it's just to make people aware, particularly elderly people. The Seniors Alert Scheme is available to anybody in the country who's over 65 years of age. So if you sign up to the Seniors Alert Scheme, you're entitled to one of these panic buttons, and it's completely free of charge. The equipment will be put in for you free of charge, and the monitoring of this panic alarm will be free for the first year. So to access that service, you need to contact either your local community alert group. It's administered through Pobble. So contact somebody in your local community alert group or your neighbourhood watch group, and they will get the form for you, fill it out, and you should then have one of these panic buttons installed in your house free of charge within 2 weeks. So it's how it works is, if you're at home, if you're feeling vulnerable, if you fall and you can't get up, you just press the panic button. You should wear it on your wrist or around your neck. So I said, if you fall, press it. There will somebody on the end of the monitoring station call you back, ask you if you're okay. If they can't get you, then they will be ringing one of your family people who you have nominated to be on your list of contacts. And if they can't get that person, then they will ring the Gardaí direct. So if you have it, what I would say is use it. Don't be afraid to use it. Like if you're at home at night time, if you hear a noise outside, or if you're anyway vulnerable at all, don't be afraid to press the button. Tell somebody what's happening. They'll call the Gardaí, and we can, you know, drive by your house or whatever, just to, you know, check things out for you without actually having to come into your house.
And I suppose it gives peace of mind to the elderly person or vulnerable person living alone or at home, and I suppose to family who aren't with them, but they know that they can be contacted if there was something, which is
correct,
great.
Exactly. So look, it works both ways, as you said. You know, it's very gives great peace of mind to family members who, for whatever reason, can't be living with their loved or, you know, dear ones. So it's, you know, something I'd really advise. As I says, it's free of charge. We don't get too many things free of charge, so look, it's there. Get on to your local community group. If you can't, if you're having success there, ring your local crime prevention officer and we'll organise to get the forms filled out for you and the alarm installed.
That's a great service to have available for people. So I've learned so much from you today, just even from the safety aspect, things to the checklist, as you called it earlier on, or the home quiz, and see how I can make my home secure for the winter, the not letting the people in the door if I'm living at home on my own or I'm vulnerable. And I think probably one of the biggest things, as well as the device, we'll say, for looking for help if I need it, but is the fact that it's to pick up the phone and call you, to be it you or any of the guards in the country, and say, I need a little bit of advice.
Correct, I suppose. And that is the message that we're trying to get out there to people all the time. We're here, the Gardaí are here to help you. So if you have any worries, if you feel vulnerable, if you have any issues with your security at all, pick up your phone, ring us. We're available 24/7 and we'd be more than willing to help you.
Tom, thank you so much. I've really learned a lot from you. It's been very informative today. I appreciate you giving your time.
You're welcome, thank you.